Hey guys, this is Pastor Brian here. I just wanted to make a video talking about some important things during this season of life that we happen to find ourselves in. So what I want to do is I want to make a series of videos this week. It's spring break and I know that people are at home and you're trying to find things to do. Well, I want to make a series of short videos to just talk about important things to keep your mind focused on the right things during this time of break. And so the first thing I want to make this series, I'm going to talk about how to spiritually survive a pandemic. So how do we survive a pandemic spiritually? You know, many of us are going to make it on the other side of this thing healthy in our bodies, but how are we going to keep our souls healthy? And so that's what I want to just talk about in this first video. I want to ask the question: what do we need during a pandemic? Everyone in the world is buying tons and tons of toilet paper, and apparently people feel like they absolutely need toilet paper to survive. And now toilet paper is pretty important, but what do we really need? That's the big question. And spiritually speaking, what do we need to survive this pandemic? And I would just like to point out two major things that we need to survive a pandemic. The first thing we need spiritually is we need fellowship with God. We need fellowship with God. The second thing we need is community with our church, our family, and our friends. So I want to talk about those for just a minute. So these are things that we always need, but it's during a pandemic that we kind of find out that we really need these things. We find out how much we really need fellowship with God and community with others. These things are so important, and it's really interesting. These are so important, not just because we think they are, but because Jesus said so. In Matthew 22, I'm going to read verses starting in verse 37. Matthew 22:37, Jesus says this. He says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and foremost commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend the whole law and prophets." So guys, this is what life is all about. It's loving God and loving others. And so that's why we need these two things so much. We desperately need fellowship with God, and we need community with others like never before, because we're finding that all these other things in life are not happening the way that we would like them to happen. And as they're being stripped away from us, we're left with the essentials. And these are the essentials: fellowship with God and communion and community with others. Fellowship with God comes through communication. That's how we have relationships, is through communication. We communicate with God. He communicates to us through His Word, and we communicate to Him through prayer. He's already put everything that you need to hear from Him in His Word. All you need to do is read it, study it, spend time in it. And we spend time talking to Him, telling Him how we're feeling, what our anxieties are, what our worries are. We're casting all of our cares onto Him. This is the most important thing. We must have fellowship with God. You know, Jesus said in Matthew 4:4, when He was interacting with the devil as Satan was tempting Him, and Jesus told him, He said, "Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the Father's mouth." And guys, that's so important. People are buying loaves of bread like never before. They don't even need that much food ever. It'll go bad before they ever can use it all. But they're panicking because they don't know what they truly need. All we need, ultimately, is our relationship with God the Father through Jesus Christ the Son. And the reason why we need that more than anything is because all these other things can be taken away from us. Everything can be taken away from us. Our shelter, our food, our water, everything can be taken away. But the one thing that can never be taken away from you is your relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That cannot be taken away from you once you have it. So you need to hold on to that with everything you've got. And then the second big thing that you need community with your church, your family, and your friends. And normally Christian community looks like spending time together and encouraging one another in the gospel. We see that in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. It says, build one another up, encourage one another, build each other up. But unfortunately, during a pandemic, we can't actually spend time together, not physically. So how do we do this? Now, fortunately, we're in a day and age. This is never has this been possible before, where we can actually spend time talking to each other face to face while being miles and miles apart. We can actually spend time together without being together. It's amazing. So you can, using social media, using chat apps, using all these different things, using videos like this, you can spend time building up one another and being encouraged and built up by your friends, your church family, your actual family, and your close friends. You can do that in a way like never before. And guys, this is important because we often talk about how social media isn't essentially bad in and of itself. Social media is only bad or good depending on how we use it. And guys, that's why we have to use these things for the glory of God like never before. We need to stop wasting time, just surfing, going through Instagram, swiping. We need to stop doing that. We need to start using these things to build community with one another. We need to build each other up using social media. We're going to find out just how good technology can be when we use everything for the glory of God. So I just want to encourage you guys in that. It's so important that we stick together, that we stick to God, and that we do this like never before, because these are the things that we need. And we have to do these two things in order to survive this pandemic spiritually. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, whether that's digitally or in person, hopefully soon. I'm here for you. If you need anything, just give me a text or an email or whatever, and I love to talk. So I love you guys, and I'll be praying for you, and you be praying for the pastors and for me, and we'll just see each other soon. Stay safe, be healthy, and we'll catch you later.